Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test, 1, 2, 3.
Hello. 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 Hello.
This meeting is being recorded.
What's up, dude?
Hey, dude.
I'm literally just about to start my webinar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How'd you go? How's the sales going? Where you at?
I'm at 112. But
Getting there, dude.
I know.
When's the webinar start? In 2 minutes?
Yeah, at 5:30 my time.
Oh, okay. I'll let you go. I was just saying, hey.
Okay. I'll text you once I'm done.
Kill it, dude.
Thanks, dude. Later, man.
Later.
Hello, 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 everybody. How's everybody in Zoom world doing? I realized that the folks here in Zoom, let me get this screen out of the way. You guys are so much more patient and understanding with technology than the folks over on YouTube. No offense to YouTube. But I'm gonna wait a little bit and then I'm gonna go live on YouTube once we are all set up and ready to go and we do all our little tech checks. Yeah, people over on YouTube seem to get pretty angry when I have some difficulties here. Hey, to be fair, I am doing like 4 or 5 different things at one time. There is this other program that I found that you can do that helps basically align streams. So you only use one platform and it streams out to everything without all these windows and all the chats and stuff. So cool. Well, how's everybody doing? Say hey. Hey, Christopher. What's up? We'll just let people trickle in here. We'll do our normal little thing. We'll wait about 5 minutes and then we'll get going. And then over the next minute here, I'm just gonna make sure that I've got my OBS working. Live streams up. Let me close this window. Keep that window open. I got my notes. Let's transition back into this. Perfect. Hi, Michelle. What is up, Niels Gott? Sheila. Good to see you guys in here. I love to see hey, Jake. I love to see all the normal folks in here. Christina. Christina, I haven't gone live yet on YouTube. I was just saying that the folks over in YouTube, I know you're probably super sweet and nice, but they get really mad when I'm trying to set up and I'm waiting for folks to come in. So I'm gonna hold out on the YouTube stream right now, but I'm gonna click live here in about 3 minutes. Sheila's got staying power. I like that, Sheila. Oh, bummer, Jake. I'm glad that you enjoyed Monday, though. I'm glad that you're able to make it today. Ryan, what's going on? You're taking notes? Good. Ryan, imagine what the program's going to be like for you. For I think everybody who's in here right now, or anyways in the chat window right now, I think most of you are going to be in the program. And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about in these webinars, they're bullet points in the sections that we're going to be discussing. And so you can imagine how much deeper we're going to get. And part of some of the homework, it's not going to be hard. It's going to be, you guys are going to be doing a little bit of research before you show up to the class. Nothing crazy, but you'll start to see how it really applies in the real world. So I'm glad that this is actually good. Usually it's called pre-material before you go to grad school. This is good pre-mat for all of you folks that are in the program right now. Amy Santana, I've been here since Friday. My goodness, I've been here since Friday. Mon, what's going on? Can we consider composting toilets for an Airbnb, or would that be a nightmare? I'm gonna do Q&A towards the end, I promise. But quick question is yes. And 98% of your guests will follow instructions. There's always that 2%. DeAndre, will this be the first and last time you do the land hacking course? This will most likely, I'm not sure yet. Again, this is my first legit program I'm putting together, so I'm working with other courses so I can learn, and other coaches and consultants, make sure that it goes off very well. So this is my first online course. I've taught classes before. I've done a lot of stuff like this, but I've never done something like this through YouTube. So the first one's gonna be live. I don't think I'm ever gonna do another live one. I might. If I do, it's gonna be literally 4 to 5 times more expensive. And so there will be courses in the future, but it's gonna be pre-recorded. So you won't have this live interaction. You probably have a couple of like maybe group coaching sessions, but nothing like this. Good question though. And that the finished product, or not, I should say finished product, but the next iteration of the Land Hacker program will probably come out in winter or next spring. All right, so just another minute here. We got folks coming in. I'm gonna go live on YouTube here. Thank you, Zoom family, for being so patient. Don't tell YouTube folks I said that they're not patient. All right, so they're good to go here. And let's go live. All right, who was asking? I think Christina. Christina, we should be live over on YouTube now. Okay. You're gonna use a shock system for Airbnb violations? I wish that was legal. Jake, right now we do not, or I do not have a financing option except the lump sum. I talked a little bit about it. I'll talk about it more a little bit later. But yeah, not right now. Jake, I thought you were maybe there's another Jake S. I thought you were part of the program. Are you not? Jake Stengel? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I did probably lose all the non-patient ones on Monday. Thinking of buying a boat and making it a cabin. Thoughts, Mon? I like that. You're asking so many good questions. Wait for the Q&A, okay? I'm gonna wait just one more minute for people to trickle in here. Hey, everybody over on YouTube. If you guys can hear and see me, hey, by the way, I forgot to ask. You guys can hear and see me just okay? YouTube looks good, okay. Okay, Jake. There's another Jake S then I might be confusing you with. Maybe it's not a Jake S, maybe it's a Jake B, but Jake, send me an email if you do, and I have a couple of folks that are on the short list if I do open up a payment program, but right now it is a lump sum. Okay. Oh, thanks, Sheila. Perfect. All right. Paige, good to see you in here. Let's get started. Let's get this baby going. What day is today? Wednesday? Okay. So a little bit of a lighter group today. I'm sure people will start trickling in here. Yep, Zoom's starting to jump up. DeAndre, I am going to be closing up consultations soon. So just a heads up. The consultations because I'm going to be focusing on the program here in a couple weeks. So, all right, let me get this going. Got my... You guys know what? I haven't done PowerPoint since like undergrad. And so I had to reteach myself how to use PowerPoint. So I hope you guys can appreciate my PowerPoint skills lately. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. Boop. Let me share it over on OBS. And jump in. Okay. All right, so everybody out there in YouTube world and Zoom world, I cannot see you. I can't see your chat window. All I see is this presentation. So I don't know how to do an overlay. Well, actually, you know what? Let me try this real quick. I might be able to see the chat window in the overlay if I play with this. I don't think I can. I don't want to mute myself. Polling, Q&A. Nope. Oh, maybe I can see the chat. I can see the chat. Okay. Okay, so if anything happens, let me know in the chat window because I have that up now. All right. So on today, we're going to be talking about going big or small. What's the best? And actually, just a little spoiler alert, you can go either way. It just depends on your situation, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. So just for everybody who's been here before or who is, who's already part of the program, I am going to be talking about the program because this is the last 2 days of enrollment. Enrollment ends July 23rd, sorry. Mine's the wrong spot. So this Friday, basically enrollment ends. And so you can't get into the program, you miss out on the bonuses. If there are seats that are still gonna be left open or that somebody decides that if they cancel for some reason, there will be seats available, but they will be at a much higher price range and you'll miss out on the bonuses if that happens before we start classes the week of August 15th. So just a heads up there. With that said, is this gonna work? So for your folks who are already in the program, I'm going to talk about it. This is still going to be a training. This is stuff that I'm actually going to be teaching inside the program. It's stuff that I use. I'm literally using it now as I'm going through another deal. And I want to teach that to you. So that's totally free in this live webinar. And we're going to have a Q&A towards the end. So you can ask me anything. There's a lot of very smart, intelligent people inside the chat window. So feel free to ask the other folks. I know there's some deals going on out there in the ether, so jump in there, say hello. But other than that, let's dig right into it. So here's just a quick schedule for the rest of the week. So today we're going over the rentals, start small, grow big. And then tomorrow, the last 2 days, we're going to be going over the fastest way to make $100,000, even more, 6 figures basically. And then on Friday, the very last day, the last couple hours of enrollment, it's going to be how to manage things remotely, which is probably one of the most common questions that I get. Now, just as always, we do have a webinar exclusive. So as of yesterday, I miscounted. The number of emails, that's how I get alerts, through the email. How many spots are left? There's 1 spot left. I thought somebody was gonna take it late last night with an email, but they didn't. So there's 1 spot left with the Web 75 Extra coupon code or promo code. So that gets you $75 off and it guarantees you or gets you a 25-minute one-on-one strategy consultation with me at the end of the program to kind of wrap everything up. And so we can basically create a personalized plan around your situation and what you're trying to do. We're all out of the 60 minutes, all out of the 45 minutes, and then now this is the last one for the 25 minutes. Now, after that though, for anybody else who attends these webinars, nobody else is getting this who's not attending these. So it's only for you folks that are here right now. Once that one's taken up, if you can't get into it, use groups, or you can get into it, but put in group special. There's no discount. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a group coaching at the end of the program for all those folks. So it's not gonna be as personalized. It's gonna be more of like an open forum like this where you get basically an hour or 45 minutes with me in a group setting. It's gonna be no more than probably 25 people. And then we'll have, you can ask your questions live. It's not gonna be like this, how we're doing the webinar where you have to chat with me via text or typing, but I'll actually allow you to speak up. You can ask your questions and we can go through things in a group session. So if you can't get with a Web 75 Extra, if that's taken, jump over and just do the group special. We'll talk more about that later on at the end of the training. Okay, so going big or going small. And there's 2 parts to this. There's if you should be going, focusing on the size of the scope of the project and focusing on the size of the structures that you're gonna be getting into, okay? And in this scenario, we're looking at land hacking. Obviously, we're focusing more on the rental side of stuff. And we'll touch on the other things that we can do when we talk about land hacking. So let me just get this chat window out of the way, okay? Now, when it comes to scope, or the size of the project, you always want to begin with your goals. And at this point, I've always edge you or encourage you to be outlandish and go crazy at this stage, okay? And the reason why I want you to do that is because we want to keep the end in mind, and then work backwards from there. But there's 3 key points or 3 key areas when it comes to scope. The first one is lifestyle, and that is, sorry, all these windows are kind of laying on top of each other. Sorry, folks. When it comes to lifestyle, you want to ask yourself, what's your intent with the property? What's your intent with this project? A lot of times people come in with a very narrow scope or very narrow focus, and that can end up biting you in the butt later on, especially when you need cash or you need to expand. And we talked a lot about that in our Friday's webinar. So if you missed that one, just go to my website and you can kind of catch up on that. It's a long one though, but you can catch up on it. Now remember, we're building a business around a lifestyle that you want, not the other way around. A lot of times, 80-90% of folks, what ends up happening is that you have a career, you have a business, and probably most of you out there are familiar with this. I've been in that situation where you have a job, you have a 9 to 5, a 7 to 7, or even if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, you take care of all that stuff first, and then you kind of piece your life around that focal point. And if your lifestyle, which I hope it is that you want to build a life, and then whether it's your family, it's your friends, it's whatever it is that you thrive off of and you enjoy, and then you build a business and income streams around that, okay? So that's the first thing, is what's your goal and the lifestyle that you want to do or have, and then how much time do you want to put into this? Do you want to put a lot of time and money up front, in which we'll talk more about in a little bit, or do you want to put a lot of time and money in the back end? Okay, it's either or, but it's usually one or the other. You can't just not have either. Okay, it's going to take time and money on both sides. Or I'm sorry, it's going to take time and money either on both sides or one or the other. The second thing is equity. So you want to ask yourself, what's the potential equity play here? Now remember, this is my strategy. This is what we really talk about the program. It's open to anybody with different types of strategies. I'm not saying this is the begin and end all. This is mine that has made me a lot of money, and I've seen work out very well for a lot of other folks too, and it's just my personal preference. So what's the potential equity play here? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that you put $1 in, you get $1 out? But really at minimum, bare minimum, you want to be able to do a 1 to 1.5 ratio. So $1 in, $1.50 out. I generally target a 1 to 5 ratio, and I average around a 1 to 3, 1 to 3.5 ratio typically. So for every $1 I put in, I usually get $3 to $3.50 out. Now, there's a lot more to this that we talk about inside the program on how to know how much equity you can create as well, and where the best places where's the best places to put your cash or your hard-earned money to get and extract more equity. Now remember, there's 2 sides of equity, and this is why I like it so much. I love it, is that you have the equity that you instantly build when you do, let's say that you remodel or you build a new structure. Okay, you build a new shop, you build a new barn, you remodel the kitchen, you remodel the master bathroom. If you do a good job, you get like a 1 to 2 return. Okay, so let's say that you put $25,000 into it, into the remodel of the kitchen, and then the value of your property or of your home goes up $50,000. That's not too bad. That's not bad at all. You do it well enough, some people can get a 1 to 4 ratio. You put $25,000 in, it increases the value of property by $80,000 to $100,000. But let's do the 25 to 50K. So that's the instant equity that you build when you do work like that. The other side of the coin of equity that a lot of people don't discuss, we all know it, but we don't really discuss as a part of a plan or a goal, is the appreciation. Okay? Meaning that every single year, that extra $50,000 in value that you just created increases on an average, depending where you are in the States and obviously the city, very, very important, the market that you're in, but on average, it's usually between a 3 to a 6%, right? That 6% is more in major cities, metropolitans, and then 3% is more of the smaller cities, the less populous cities. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, it might be a little bit tougher, it might be lower. But let's say between 3 to 6%. That $50,000 is getting you about $2,000 to $3,000 every single year. And then as it grows to $53,000, that $53,000 is now appreciating between 3 to 6%, right? To the next year, on and on and on. And as you improve that property, you keep on compounding, right? And that's one of the biggest, I think Einstein said is one of the strongest forces, right? He said is the force of compounding. And that's how generational wealth is built. And this is not racial at all. I'm not trying to be, I know it kind of triggers it right by saying that. But most of the folks that came and immigrated here to the United States are Europeans. And the reason why there's wealth there, not as much wealth in the other sectors of our community, isn't just because of whatever you want to say between the races, but it's more about the fact that they had several generations of passing down properties. That's where most of the generational wealth comes from. It's the passing down of properties. You can see that right now in a smaller scale if you go to Hawaii. In Hawaii, the land over there, within 1 or 2 generations, it made generations multimillionaires because one home on a decent sized lot that costs maybe $200,000 here in the mainland is worth well over $1.5 million, $2 million over there in Hawaii, right? There are generations, our generation, millennials, they're becoming millionaires off of what their parents did back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Now you can imagine how that compounds over time if you had a piece of land in Hawaii that's worth $1.5 million now, and then you give it to your great-great-grandkids. Probably worth several millions of dollars by that time. And so that's the power of appreciation. And if you do it right and you know how to play the game correctly, you can actually increase that appreciation even faster within your lifetime, within 10 to 20 years. And that's the game that I like to play. The last one, as you guys all know, are income streams. Now, I know a lot of you in here are interested in glamping, and that's awesome. I am too, right? But I think for a lot of beginners, it's too narrow of a scope. And when we're looking at property and land, you want to see it from every angle and how to hack it to generate income streams, right? I've said this before. I think Brent, we've talked about this inside this probably yesterday, is the 1-to-1 ratio is one door, one property. That's very much the traditional. And then if you ask like, okay, let's build more revenue streams or income streams, they'll say like, oh, go buy a multifamily duplex, quadplex, so on and so forth. That to me is old school. I like to create 10 to 1, reverse it. 10 to 1, 10 income streams, not rentals, not doors, income streams to one property. And when you do this, you're doing it because we are going to be leveraging the zoning districts and permits. You guys can start to see how it kind of comes full circle. It's not just finding that right piece of land, but it's strategizing and understanding what you can do with zoning districts and what permits you can pull to generate those income streams. And again, you're doing it all off one property. Now, we often see a lot of folks, especially my students, my clients that I work with, we see zoning as a constraint. And it can be sometimes. But zoning in certain areas will allow you to conduct certain activities that many other people and many other zones cannot do. And that is how we generate several other ways of both saving and making money. So just as an example, if any of you guys watch my YouTube channel, you guys have seen my property, my main property here that I do a lot of my work in and work on and where I live, is that we clearly have a ton of trees. And we're in the middle of the forest. And when you buy large pieces of land, it's completely ridiculous to think that we would have to pay taxes on all of the acreage, even the acreages that we don't use. And sometimes people do have to pay for it because they cut everything down, they put in giant lawns, literally across this valley. It's called like a street of dreams. It's basically where they build all these crazy like multi-mega millionaire mansion type stuff, right? So I can see them. They mow down or they cut down all the trees. They put in big lawns, gazebos, all that stuff, pools, golf courses, helicopter pad, that type of stuff. And what they end up doing is as they do that, they have to now pay taxes on all of that land, all those acres that they mowed down to kind of make it livable. Whereas in my zone over here, I'm not in a residential zone, I'm more rural forestry zone, or that's the two zones that I'm under, is that if we farm something, whether it's trees or crops, we don't have to pay taxes on that piece of property or on the rest of the property. We don't develop it and we grow and we farm something. And so in my case, you guys know this, is that I farm bamboo or I grow bamboo and then I farm it. And not only does that allows me to not have to pay taxes on 85% of my property. I only pay property taxes on 15% of it, but I also create another revenue stream for the property once the bamboo is mature enough to actually start selling. And so that's a good example of how you can strategize around zoning districts, codes, and permits to have an advantage over other people in the area, or just help yourself out towards moving towards that lifestyle that you want. I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, throw a question inside the Q&A and I'll answer it for you. Okay. So the other part of this when it comes to scope is money. There's actually two things here. It's money and time. Now, money is, sorry, I see the chat. I have to close the chat. It's too distracting for me. Sorry, guys. All right. So when it comes to money, you have to ask yourself, what's the best use of it and how will it maximize your profits? But also, how much do you have to start? That's very, very important. There are certain thresholds that you must have in order to start a project, right? If you want to say like, hey, I want to remodel this house. I know if I have $125,000, it'll be worth $300,000 for sure, 100%, but I only have $10,000. Yeah, that's a problem, okay? But if you don't have that, you have to understand that there are other strategies. That can work you up to it. A lot of times we think about, I don't know why it is, maybe it's societal or maybe it's in our education systems. Like, hey, if I can't do that 125 into 300, I don't have a deal at all. I was like, no, you do. Start growing bamboo. Start saving on taxes. And so you don't have to pay, instead of paying $1,500 a month in taxes, you only pay $400 a month in taxes. Save that money, work your way up. Maybe remodel a small bathroom first. Rip out the carpet, put in hardwood floors. Work your way up there. Leverage the equity, and then pull out a HELOC, and then now you have the ability to do the kitchen. There's a lot of different strategies to work your way up. And as you'll find this soon, and I think a lot of people know it, people say the rich get richer, and they say it almost like as a negative thing. And I see it as a positive thing. It's because it's true. Money begets money. Positive people bring in more positive people. Negative people bring negative people. And once you start making a small amount of money, you can grow that. And then once you start making more money, you can grow that. And it just expands. It's the natural way of how things grow. It's no different with you and yourself and your personal goals, how you think, your mindset, your education, your knowledge, your skill sets, and it's no different with money. So when people say the rich get richer, of course the rich get richer. If I gave you $1 billion and you just go through it in a bank account, you're gonna be making a couple million to several $1 million every single year. Of course you're gonna get richer. It's the same thing for us when we're first starting out. So we have to think about in the beginning when it comes to money is cash on hand. And this will always be a constraint of a project. Actually, two of these things, money and time will always be the constraint. And so you wanna see how much do you have is going to dictate the size and the scope of the project. Okay, so the second thing is time. How much can you afford to invest into your project at each of these phases? So a lot of times we think, oh, it's $10,000, it's $20,000, it's $100,000, maybe it's $500,000. The other side of the coin here is how much time is it going to require me? And typically, if you have less time, you're going to be spending more money. If you have a lot of time, you can actually save a lot of money. And so, but time, whether it's you're managing your builder, you're communicating with your architect, you're filling out applications, you're going down to the county, you are either working with them or consulting with them on next steps, all of that requires time. And if you don't want to do any of that, fine. You have to pay somebody like myself who knows it, and you'll be paying a lot of money for me to bring in my expertise and then bringing in my relationships to do that legwork for you, okay? So it's just one of the other. But the more important question that I teach my students to ask themselves is how fast can you reach break even? And that's a factor of time. And we all dream and think about making and having like these $1 million properties that are spitting off $20,000 to $30,000 a month in income. It's a great goal and it's a lofty one and it's definitely doable. I really do believe it's doable for anybody who actually wants to put in the time and the money, right? And I'm not talking about millions of dollars that you pour in and like working 100-hour weeks. Way more reasonable, but you do need a strategy. But the first flagstone to your success is determining and building a plan to reach break even first. But more important to reaching break even is how fast can you hit break even? And this is something that we discuss a lot more and we dive into, because this in itself is probably a 30-minute conversation to maybe an hour conversation with a Q&A going back and forth. But if you can ask yourself, when you're looking at properties, how do I get to break even and how fast can I get there? And that should be your first goal. And that should help dictate how much time and how much money you need to put into a project. Okay. And this is going back to, well, let me back up a little bit. Now, this is way easier when we start with what we're talking about in Friday. For anybody who came to the Friday's webinar, is starting with the end in mind. And when we start with the end in mind, it's very easy to start breaking these things apart into phases, right? And you want to design something and plan for something grand, amazing, huge. I'm telling you, go all out with the plan. Don't think about the budget or time. But what we then do is, once we kind of go back to a rational state of mind, is we start breaking things apart into strategic phases that then allows us to take advantage of that time and that money that we were just talking about. Now, very important thing to keep in mind is that with most projects, there are two key stages. There's the setup stage, and then there's the management stage. You want to be careful and you want to plan accordingly for both. I will tell you this, don't get me wrong, the setup, the planning stage, that first stage, super important, absolutely important. You make most of your money in what we're talking about in the management side, okay? It's important to set up the right deal, but you make most of your money and the longevity and the strategy of your business plan or of the property in this sense is from the management side. Okay. Now let's switch over and start talking about the structure. So that's the scope side, okay? That's the size. Should you go big? Should you go small? Start huge. Plan everything out. And then start narrowing it down to strategic sections that you can actually start implementing. Now when it comes to structures, it's the same thing, right? I get this question a lot. And this is a common question, is how big should I go? What types of structures should I do? Should I do something like an 800 square foot A-frame? Or should I do like a tiny cabin like this that's like no bigger than like what? What do you guys say? That's probably 8 feet by, this is like probably like 60, 75 square feet that can fit a queen size mattress in there. So it all comes down to, and this is the standards of the blueprint and the program, is the customer. And I cannot emphasize this enough. I brought it up yesterday in yesterday's webinar. And like I said, I pay, just as how a lot of folks are watching this webinar, I go to other people's webinars. I consult with them. I buy their courses in areas that I'm not an expert in and I need help and I need to expand my knowledge and my skill sets. And it's funny, this is what you learn first in any MBA, any good MBA program. Any MBA program worth their salt, anybody that's in business, that's teaching at a very high level, the first thing they teach you is how to analyze and identify a customer. And guess what? It proliferates through everything, because the first thing that my coach or my consultant taught me with YouTube is we did this super in-depth, who is my audience? Same thing here. Now, once we start figuring it out, I can tell you most likely this, I'm pointing my screen to the left here, is that this Hobbit A-frame, you are not getting a pair of retirees that are traveling across the United States to stay in it, okay? They're not. I'm sorry. They're not gonna stay in it. Probably even a mom and dad in their 40s or 50s probably don't wanna stay in this. You're looking at a very specific, you're probably looking at two of the types of customers that do want to stay in this. Folks that are usually younger, the millennials, maybe even the generation after millennials. I don't know what they're called right now. But is you want to focus in on that, and that's going to help determine the size and how big you go. Now, with that said, you also want to determine how much your funds, obviously the capital, and the cash flow and equity play. So it's full circle back to the scope of things. With that said, I don't want you to think that larger homes and families, because I get this a lot. I actually have some of my students doing it right now. They're purchasing larger single family homes on property and they're planning on renting out for $400 or $500 a night. That's awesome. That's great. Equity, cash flow. I want you to keep in mind, for however much that you can get that for, say $400 a night for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. This little 60 square foot A-frame gets $100 to $110 a night. okay? So you got to break things down by per person and then per room. And you start to realize where you can make good equity and where you can make good cash flows. So bigger is not better. And actually, for me, if you guys watch my channel, if you guys have been watching these trainings, I am not a fan of renting out homes. I've actually sold and am in the process of getting rid of all of my homes. Not because it's an equity play or anything like that or a strategic marketing play. I just don't want to deal with them. I dislike the customers. I don't like the guests. I don't know them well. And just unbiasedly, when you have homes that accommodate 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people, you will undoubtedly have issues. Even the best guests, you will just have more issues. Because you got to think about it that with more foot traffic coming into the home, there's going to be more issues. There's going to be more problems, more accidents. Excuse me, I got to take a sip of water. My moonshine. So with that said, run the numbers like we talked about before and see, because I can prove to you with my numbers through my market analysis why you should be building maybe a $25,000 A-frame instead of buying a $500,000 or $600,000 awesome home that you can rent out for $600 a night, right? And so you want to make sure that you understand why you're doing one over the other and the cost benefits of it, right? What are the pros and cons? And typically for me, there's a lot more pros for smaller spaces than for bigger spaces. But that's all going to tie into your strategy and your overall plan and your overall goals. That goes back to the scope. Okay. So with that said, there's also the money and the time side. Now, what's going to be the cheapest? Canvas is always going to be the cheapest, okay? And then when it comes to time, that will always be the fastest. You know, like I said yesterday, I could put up between me and a buddy of mine or two of my buddies, my business partners, we could probably erect what you see over here on the left-hand side of your screen. I think it's your left-hand side of the screen, the canvas tent. We could build that literally within a weekend. And probably have it furnished by, within that week. It's not very difficult. It's very, very basic. However, it doesn't really generate a lot of equity, if any equity, and there's a lot of maintenance. Okay, a lot of people don't think about the mold issue. They don't think about the weather. The heating and cooling is almost non-existent in those places. And I mean, you got a thin piece of fabric between you and 105 degrees and 100% humidity. And even if you put an AC in there, it's doable. It's just tough. Okay, so the other side of the coin is doing something that's the super expensive, like container homes and tree houses. You need permits, you need real engineering, not saying that there's fake engineering, but you need a lot of engineering and a legit construction crew or a team of people to build those out correctly. But you build equity. It takes a lot more time. At the end of the day, though, I'll tell you this, my friend Cass is making just as much money as my container home with two of her little A-frames that she built for I think $2,000 or $3,000 each. And so you got to weigh the cost benefits. But the thing that she doesn't have is she didn't build up multiple six figures in equity off of them. That's appreciating by 3 to 6%. In my area right now, it's appreciating at like 20%, but every single year. And so there's two sides of the game that you got to play here. And so I like to play that side, where I can still address the guests that I want, way less maintenance for me, and I'm playing the equity and the cash flow side. And so it's the same thing here. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting off small with the canvas tent, maybe moving off into a trailer or an Airstream like this, and then moving that into an A-frame, and then eventually moving into a treehouse or a container home. Nothing wrong with that plan. And the fantastic thing behind land hacking and everything that we're discussing, again, we're hyper focused on just rentals right now, is that the money and the cash flow and the equity is built really, really quickly, especially right now. The wave of Airbnb is still very much alive, okay? It's not dying down, it's not over, it's still there. It's only meant to be ridden by the people that are serious though. You can't just come in here and just rent out a basement for like $200 a night anymore, okay? Just like a a dingy basement with your old stuff in there. You actually have to cater and be a real entrepreneur and be a real host these days, but it's absolutely there for people who want to take it seriously. So with that, in conclusion or an overview is start small, prove the concept, and then expand. Do your big plans. Think about the awesome treehouse, the structures, the container homes, the modular homes, anything that you want to do that's going to cost you a small fortune. And then take it down to the bite size and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And don't get dissuaded. Don't get, intimidated or think that, oh no, that's step 5, step 6, step 7. I'll never get there. I'm telling you, you're watching it on my channel, on Rob Built's channel, that we get there very, very fast. Watch my next project. Watch once I finish the shipping container project. Watch when I finish the dome tent. Watch when I finish this next hack that I'm doing on the 267 acres. Watch how fast we get it up and going, and then how fast cash flows increase and allows us to spin off into another project. It's the same thing for you. Okay, make sure that once you have that all planned out, run the numbers, do the market analysis. Okay, I have a couple videos on that, and then that will determine the structures and the size and type that you do. And I think that you'll be very surprised. I know a lot of you out there are already kind of stuck in it because it's what we've taught. You've been ingrained in it, that you think that the larger homes and structures are the best investments because of both the equity and then you can make $400, $500, $600 a night. I'm telling you, even at that higher price point, if that was the thing, I would be buying all bigger homes. I would be doing that. Why? I have the cash flow, I have the capital, I have the investors, I have the know-how, I have the skill set to do all of that. Why are people like me and Rob, who have all the backing and all the skills to do it, how come we're not doing that? Okay? There's a reason there. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's better opportunities or better ways to scale your money than just going the traditional way of buying a nice home on a lake and then renting out for $500 or $600 a night. All right. With that said, one thing, the reason why, just to give you guys a little bit of a hint on it, is because occupancy rates with single family homes like that, maintenance issues, and then obviously guest issues. If you guys watched it, I think I talked about on Monday's webinar, is that 80% of my issues that I've ever had in the past 11, 12 years of doing short-term rentals has come from homes, single family homes, or I guess townhomes or condos that were like 1,500 square feet and larger with multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms. The best ones that have the least issues have always been the studios and the one bedrooms. Okay, with that said, Land Hacker program. This is literally the last 2 days to enroll. We have an awesome cohort of students so far. These are a lot of folks that I've either worked with in the past through my consultations, or actually just through my consultations, or they are, I'm actively working with them several times or multiple times throughout a month with their current projects. They're a part of this program. And I can tell you that those minds in there are gonna be just as great as having somebody like me teaching you the blueprint that I would take you through if I had to do this all over again when I'm 21 years old and then essentially get to where I am now way faster. I generally think, and I'm not just saying this, that where I am at right now, being financially free, being able to teach this to folks and make YouTube videos on it, and you guys can watch kind of like my journey. I truly believe if I had this blueprint that I kind of put together based off of my clients, my students, I would have gotten to where I am now by probably my mid-20s. So if I had started at 21 years old, I would have gotten to where I am at right now by probably 25, 26, 27. Instead, it took me until 30, 31, 32. And so it more than halves the time. And I really think that this is going to be the bread and butter of the success of my future projects and then my students' projects, is this program or this outline, this blueprint right here. If you guys want more information on it, definitely just go over kaiandrew.com. I have a whole website where you can read testimonials. You guys can see the details of each of the bonuses that you get if you enroll in the program. And if you guys have any questions, I'm an open book. Send me an email. Okay. And what you do get is you get the lifetime access. And when I mean lifetime access, it's because this is a live program and I will be doing an edited version of it, and I'll be continuing to add more videos to it and more trainings as I get into it deeper. I'm talking about my projects, and then I need to teach you something. I'm gonna make more videos on it. And when I do that, you will have access to everything. So when I release this in the future and I charge $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 for that, or if I do a live program again and I charge $10,000 for it, anybody inside this initial founders cohort will have access to anything and everything in the future. And then also included in this one is that I'm throwing in my other live Art of Designing and Building a Six-Figure Airbnb Listing mini program. That's gonna be an additional 4 hours that we'll be doing on the tail end of the program. And basically I'll walk you through on how to get into the algorithm and really leverage and abuse Airbnb and how to stand out amongst everybody else to make sure that you aren't kind of part of the folks that are gonna get wiped out when a new wave of investors or high-end Airbnb hosts come in, and how you can stay in that top 10%. Talked about this before too. These are some of the bonuses. Again, it's all gonna be listed out on my website, but the big things is you're gonna get weekly group coaching with me, weekly office hours where you can ask your questions. You're gonna get definitely all my spreadsheets. That's the numbers side of stuff, the guides, the PDFs, the slides. But really what I really like is the Discord group. Okay, the Discord, if you guys don't know what that is, think of like Slack or like a channel where the classmates or the everybody can kind of hang out, ask questions, work with each other, partner up on deals, because everybody inside this program is at some stage within the process. Whether they're first starting out, they're green, or they're actually actively buying property or starting this process. And so we can work with one another and feed off of each other. And then obviously I'll be in there too, where I can answer questions and then help people, and then obviously give my 2 cents and my advice around things too. Okay. Again, like I said at the very beginning, there is one spot left. Let me just double check and make sure. So nobody has gotten that yet. So funny, I get emails during I do this webinar, but it's not about this. So yeah, Web 75 extra, one spot left, $75 off, and then you get the last consultation time with me at the end of the at the end of the program. And then for everybody else, if that you miss out on that one's taken. There is the group special. And that is a group coaching and strategy session at the end of the program where you'll have basically 25, I'll probably limit it to 25 folks, 25, 30 folks, and then we'll have hot seats, and then you'll be able to ask me questions live, and then I'll be able to help answer you either any questions that you have left over from the program, or it's something specific to what you're trying to do. So you'll get that a part of it just for being a part of this webinar. Other folks who just kind of purchase or enroll outside of the webinar, they won't get this special. So it'll be a small group of you folks. All right, with that said, this training, I feel like it went a little bit longer today than normal, but I'm gonna jump over to the Q&A and then we'll start doing that section or that part of everything. All right, let me make sure I get my screens back here. Hey there, YouTube. Let me stop my share screen. Perfect. All right. Hey, there's a good little crowd in here. All right, I'm gonna type the link and everything. Let me just put this into the chat window and then we'll get started. So go ahead and start filling up the, typing out your questions and putting it into the chat window. There's that, Web 75 off. And group special. I wish there was a better way. If anybody out there who's a tech person who understands OBS or YouTube on how I can just I can keep these up so I don't have to keep on inputting them, that'd be great. I'm not sure if there is a function like that though. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I messed up. Sorry, YouTube, I messed up the chat. All right, there you go. I feel like I'm starting to show my age. Not being able to do chat. Okay, let me see if I can. Nope, I can't. Okay, let's start answering some questions. This is the fun part. All right. let's start with, I always start with Zoom. I'm going to start over with YouTube today. Let's go to the top here. All right. Brando asked, how you doing, Brando? How do you find the golden triangle? Go watch my golden triangle video. I won't, it'll take too long, but basically you go and you find 3 nodes in an area. And then those legs, each of the legs of the triangle is going to be 30 minutes. And you want to identify spaces or areas inside that. And then obviously you'll create multiple triangles, and there's a weight, and there's an intensity, and then there's a bunch of other factors that would take in. But go watch my golden triangle video on YouTube. It'll walk you through it in like 10 minutes. Tap into health. I just put in the link. Evan Secula, what's up? Outlight cash flow. The boss talk. Brady Schwartz. My webinar is just go to my website, kaiandrew.com, and then my webinar will be right there. Okay. Andrea Garcia, is there a time of the year that's better to start? First timer. Yeah, I would say whenever if you can get right before your peak season and when a lot of travelers coming in. There's always going to be ebbs and flows in most markets. I can't think of a market that's going to be 100% year round. But if you can get started and be up and running right before that, then you can really test out and have a really good season. Other than that, I like to, if there's a lot of construction that needs to happen, obviously do it during a time where it's not like super cold, windy, snowy, that type of thing. So it's either going to be dictated based on if you have construction or dictated based on when you have a big travel season. And did I mispronounce your name? Andrea is a hard name for me to pronounce or read because it's either Andrea. There's so many different ways of pronouncing it. So I apologize. All right, everything pies. Kai, add link to the YouTube description area. Oh, good idea. Is there a way to pin it to the top of the chat too? I thought maybe there's a way to pin it. I'm not sure though. Let me see. Oh, you are right, Sheila. You are so good. Sheila in for the win. Okay. Now how do I don't know if I can, I don't think I can pin. I can't pin 2 things. So, all right, I pinned my program at the top. You guys know the specials. All right, Cuban mangoes. I like that name. What about parking lots? What do you mean by what about parking lots? Like where do you create areas for parking? Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to create that for sure if you have multiple sites on one property. Is you will most likely do gravel parking areas. If you go get permitted and such, you have to build it to a certain code of how to create these parking areas because it has to support emergency vehicles. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't think. This is usually going through the checklist of the permits and stuff. But there's a reason why there's a certain code or a certain way of building driveways and gravel roadways and parking areas. Is because like here, I don't have a fire hydrant near our space. What that means is that the fire trucks come with a giant truck that's a water truck. And those weigh literally tons, right? And if you don't build your gravel or your roadway correctly, and that thing gets stuck, you can start to see where the problems. So that's why there's the fire marshal, and there's so many, not restrictions, but so many codes on how to do things. So yes, you're right. You have to do a parking area. Okay. All right, I'm gonna jump over to Zoom. YouTube folks, continue to blow up the chat, ask any of your questions. I'll jump back over to you. I'm gonna go over here to Zoom though. Okay, Zoom, Q&A first. Paige Van Ocker. Dome site, are there alternatives to hooking up to a water line in order to have shower and sink? Yes, there is running something called a stub out. So you basically bring your water down there. Don't bring it inside because you have to start doing zoning and code stuff or permitting stuff. Pop up just like a water spigot and then attach a hose to it and run it into wherever you want to do the shower, your bathroom area. That's how I and we are getting across or around that. Because you cannot run stuff into the dome, assuming that you're not getting it permitted as a dwelling unit. Okay. Olympic Peninsula near Port Townsend. I don't know that area, Paige, so I can't really say much to that. There isn't a ton of action on there right now on Airbnb, but seems like a rapidly growing area. I'd say take a look and see. Again, do the Golden Triangle. I love areas like that. If you know a sleepy area that isn't getting a lot of attention right now from Airbnb and investors, and you can get in there, and especially if you can get in there now before regulations crack down and you can get grandfathered in with permits in the zoning districts, that is the best. That's the best thing. And so if you're inside a Golden Triangle, if you can build the Golden Triangle in there or around there or near there, and several of them, it might be a good spot. But I don't know that area very well, so I can't speak to it. Sorry. Brian Zavastowski. Okay. In reference to the challenges of a multi-bedroom single-family home, we're planning a house hack ADU that's 1 bedroom, less than 600 square feet. Awesome. We were hoping, I'm going to move this over here. We were hoping to be able to do up to 6 people, bedroom, loft, sleeper couch, but really targeting 2 or maybe 4. It sounds like limiting it to less than 6 could be beneficial and less hassle and problems. Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. This is something that I've said a lot before, is that I have literally hosted anybody and everybody in the spectrum of people searching for vacation rentals. Illegal underage teens that have lied to me and came to my property, all the way up to like literally 77, 80-year-old retirees traveling across the country in an RV. And then imagine everything in between, okay? Students, business, families, small families, multiple families, reunions, weddings, all that stuff. Every single one, no matter who it is, when you get above 4 or 5 people, you will undoubtedly have issues. Even if they're sweethearts and they're awesome and they're phenomenal folks, maybe it's exponential. I don't know that's the right word, but I think the odds of accidents happening grows exponentially when you throw a bunch of people in. And the worst thing is, it's the what is it? It's the shattered window effect. I don't know if you guys know that effect. But anyways, it's that when you have more people, nobody really takes responsibility. Okay. And then so that's where you get more broken glasses or more broken dishware or glasses, dirtier stoves, dirtier showers, right? Towels that weren't tossed in the what do you call it? Tossed into the bin. It's just stuff all over. Like, if I could download what I've seen to you, like pizza, literally pizza, face down underneath the covers. Okay. Like just staining through everything, through the comforter, through the sheets, into the through the mattress protection cover, all the way into the mattress itself, right? I've had literally towels and sheets and bed linens stuck to each other because like some sort of popsicle or something, they just tossed it into a pile. And it's not a one-time thing. It's a multiple thing, okay? Applesauce, jelly, anything like that into your carpet, your rugs, that type of stuff, just because there's more people. I know, I'm venting now. But yeah, that's the reason why. So I would gear towards, if you can, towards less people than more people. You can also always take a security deposit too and just have a very heavy security deposit for folks. VRBO allows you to do that. For my larger homes, I think I took like $300, maybe $300 or $400 for a security deposit. Airbnb doesn't have the security deposit. Actually, you know what? No, Airbnb does have a security deposit. They don't take it out though. VRBO actually charges that to the guest. So yeah, have a security deposit. Okay, Ryan, what's up, man? Any book recommendations for a deep dive on identifying and analyzing customers? Ooh, I don't know of any books that actually dives into customers. I'm sure they're out there. I'm trying to think. I'll think about that, Ryan, and then I'll see you inside the program. So I'll let you know if I can think of anything. I'll have to go look through my bookshelf. Nothing comes to mind right now. Oh, Raving Fans. That's a good one. Go check out Raving Fans. I forget who writes it. Dane Hutchins. This is a serious question. I am going bald. Won't be long. How do you shave your head and you look so sharp? Thank you, Dane. Genetics. My mom, my dad. I got super lucky by having like an okay shaped and sized head, so I appreciate it. When I was going bald, I was having a lot of issues too. I'm not actually bald. It was just thinning a little bit. And at the time, I didn't like hair. My hair is like, it's right here. It's curly. And then Asian hair is just straight. So what it does is it poofs out and I look like a mushroom. And so I actually like this a lot better. And I always say I swam a lot faster and could paddle faster when I was surfing. Puya Kai, say someone has the ability to build a few larger 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes in top-notch locations, like say on the coast of North San Francisco, commanding 700 to 800 a day rate. I'm assuming that's what ADR is. It might be best to go in for an appreciation play, right? Yeah, absolutely. If you can build new construction and you can build instant equity, so let's say it costs you $700,000, but it's instantly worth over $1 million, and you can charge $700,000 to $800,000. Yeah, absolutely. That equity play and that cash flow difference, it's gonna more than make up with all the issues. With that said, I said this before: over-engineer and overbuild everything because they will abuse your property. So, like in that situation, I wouldn't even put laminate floors in. You know what I do? I'd be putting in concrete floors. That's what I'd be doing, right? And then I would be putting in like the plumbing. I would make sure whoever designs the plumbing that they're a legit, like really good plumbing company so that you don't get clogs. A lot of the times people get clogs is because of, when you get a clogged toilet and stuff, it's usually not the toilet's problem. Sometimes it is. It's usually the design of the plumbing system, like the actual vents and the drainage. It turns too sharply. It's too quick of a drop or whatever. That causes the clogs. Yeah. That's what I would say. But I like that, Puyo. Brian, how much do you personally do yourself versus contracting out? It all depends on the project. So with this house that I'm in right now, I did literally 85-90% of the work. And then with the shipping container, I'm probably doing, I'd say 50 to 60% of the work. And that's because two things. I genuinely like and enjoy learning new concepts and doing stuff myself. It's actually a good mental break for me from all my other stuff that I do to actually build and work with my hands. But there's nothing wrong with contracting out. Just make sure that the numbers work out in your favor. When I do my work myself, I know it works in my favor because a lot of times plumbing, like say rough-in plumbing for a new place, is going to be $12,000 to $15,000. I know it's going to cost me only $2,000 in materials. So I know I'm going to save myself between $10,000 to maybe $13,000 plus. Same thing with electrical. So it's just up to you and where your budget is. Christopher, what about rain collection systems for water supplies? Great idea. If you're in an area that gets a lot of rain and you can collect it and it's legal for you to collect rain, isn't that silly? Some areas it's illegal for you to collect rain. But yeah, if you can do it, 100%. Use that for not gray water, but for like washing hands and stuff like hose water or like watering irrigation and stuff. You can absolutely use that. Stefan Savikic. I like some of these last names. I'm just butchering them, all of them, aren't I? How important is liability insurance for glamping setup? It seems such low risk and that's unnecessary, but who knows, maybe Kai does. Absolutely, you need insurance, liability insurance, 100%. Don't do this without insurance. Whatever that insurance bill is, if they say it's $200, $500 a month, make sure you pay it. The reason behind that is because it's what we call in business silver bullets. Silver bullets is the one thing that can absolutely destroy you financially and emotionally too, I guess. But it will destroy your business and it can target you personally. So don't think that just because you have a business up that you're safe from it, because if you don't have liability insurance on something, let's say somebody trips and falls and breaks their ankle and sues you, and you don't have liability insurance, guess who they're suing, right? They're gonna sue you and whatever money and whatever you have attached to your name. You don't wanna be in that situation. So absolutely, liability insurance and setting up your businesses correctly 100% is a huge aspect of doing this. That's the difference between doing something professionally and then something amateur-wise. And that's what I see a lot, and that's why we can take advantage of it, is because there's a lot of amateurs in the space right now. And if you do it professionally, not only do you make a lot of money, but you actually create a lot of longevity for yourself and the business as well. Dan Kanchanarin. Kanchanarin. Where are you guys all from? Kanchanarin. Okay. In regards to multiple glamp tiny home sites, what's the general rule of thumb for distance from each other? General rule of thumb is out of eyesight and earshot, whatever that number is. It could be, if you can make sure people don't see each other and they can't hear each other from 2 feet away, go 2 feet. If it takes 1,000 feet, make it 1,000 feet. Use the terrain, use the topography, use the noises that are around you. Obviously, stay away from roads, all that stuff. The biggest complaint in glamping situations is going to be sound. And when I go pay, if I pay you $300 a night to stay in your glamping situation, your glamping like treehouse or your dome tent or whatever, I don't want to hear the glampers over there arguing or laughing or their music. Okay, I'm paying you $300 a night. Give me somewhere private. That's the thing. That's why a lot of people get complaints. Sorry, I wasn't mad at you, Dan. And by the way, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Christopher Kai, need a good return policy for those destructive customers. Costco returning anything for a reason. Yep, IKEA does too. They have a 365-day thing over at IKEA. But you're right, but that it requires a lot. I mean, you can imagine a full-size couch to like pack that up, take it back there. It's annoying. It's just annoying. It's just, for me, it's doable. And maybe for a lot of you folks out there, you probably have a better system or better idea of how to do it. I just rather not deal with it at all. That's my thing. Just snuff it out, don't deal with it, and focus on the good customers. Mon had a good question. If it wasn't posted by composting toilets, good idea. Yeah, composting toilets. If you're in an area that can't get septic and it's okay with you zoning wise, or that you are in an area where it's very unlikely that you're gonna get in trouble from zoning or from the county, composting toilets are fantastic. Just even if you're not regulated by the DEQ, I know it's not DEQ everywhere else, but the Department of Environmental Quality, I believe it is. Whatever it is, do it right. Don't be the individual that ruins it for everybody else that's doing glamping because you toss human waste into the pond or the lake, or you just create a pile somewhere else and you don't take care of the environment, and then somebody finds out about it somewhere down the road and shuts everybody else down because you didn't get rid of stuff properly. And that's the reason why a lot of regulations happen. A lot of the regulations occur. It's usually, tell you the truth, I've been inside these meetings. I've been in the hearings for the counties. The reason why they shut down or they regulate is literally 2 people out of hundreds, if not thousands of individuals, do things so outrageously illegally or unsafe, like party homes, trash in the streets, parking in neighbors' driveways or parking areas, like that type of stuff, that causes the county to have to force regulations on people. Please don't be that 1 or 2 people that ruins it for everybody else. And so that's what I'd say about composting toilets. The other thing about composting toilets is there's different types. Buckets and Sawdust is one. Naturehead, which is part of the leading brand. There's another one, I forget what's the brand or type, but there's also another one called the Incinerator, where basically it burns up all your poo and your pee. The only thing with that is that there's a certain amount of steps to do it correctly. If you don't do it correctly, it gets really, really messy. And guess what? Your guest probably doesn't want to clean it up. So that's going to be you. So just keep all that in mind. Like, what happens when people do mess up? Who cleans it? You're welcome, Puya. Mon, are you the one from Australia? I have an existing listing with 4 p.m. check-in. Sometimes I get a booking request with a message that they want to come in the morning, but the previous guest only has to check out at 1 p.m. If I decline the new booking, I lose my superhost status. If I don't reply, other guests can't book because the dates are held for. What do you do this? I've had that situation before, Mon. You don't lose your superhost. Double check this, but I have that situation all the time. I usually have guests checking out at 11. And then check-in is at 4 p.m. And if somebody's requesting and they want to check in early, I'll just message them and it's like, no can do, check-in's at 4. I'm sorry. If this doesn't work for you or it's inconvenient for you, please, you can cancel with a full refund within a time frame. Just heads up. And then they'll cancel it. But typically if you decline and you say, like, you choose the option, like, what's the option? This is not a good fitting for this guest, or the guest does not fit my criteria, or they make me feel uncomfortable or something like that, because they're forcing you, or they're saying like, I have to be able to check in at this time, and you're like, I can't, you're not doable. You can check that, and then it shouldn't hit your status at all. I've done that a few times. Anonymous attendee. Hello again. You still refused putting your real name, huh? It's okay. I get it. I hear your thoughts about higher number of guests. Is it the same, better, or even worse if they are kids? Absolutely worse. Well, actually, let me take that back. Students are the worst, okay? Teenagers in groups are the worst. The absolute worst. Students together, like I'm talking about 19-year-olds together, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, is probably the absolute worst. Only second to that is a family of 3 or 4 parents and a bunch of kids. Because usually on vacation, those parents are focusing on other things, cooking, maybe cleaning a little bit while the kids are playing. And I promise you, those kids will get into everything. And you will find stuff everywhere because vacationing parents do not look after their kids all the time. Okay? So, my little 2 cents. Dane, if your Airbnb is an LLC, do you list it under the LLC's name? Yes, correct, my friend. You list it underneath the LLC. Raj, what's up? Love your content. As a result of a growing market of B&B rentals, what is the best way to explore the options to invest in tech-based startups for web applications, services, websites that help with this growing business? That's not an area of my expertise. I wouldn't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't do web services or web applications. I wish I did. It'd make things a lot easier for me. But I think that could be a cool space. I know that there's a couple of folks like Guesty or Hosty or Your Porter that started leveraging, and AirDNA is another good one of doing it. So, you know what? Actually, I do have one. If you can, sorry, I don't understand how many people are doing it. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. They're emailing me because they're trying to use my the coupon. I'm sorry. It's Web 75 Extra. All right, there you go. It's Web 75 Extras for that last seat. I'm sorry. I'm wondering why I'm getting all these messages in email. It's folks like they can't use the code. It's Web 75 Extra, not Web 75 Off. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Raj. I don't know anything. That's not my area of expertise. If you know something, please let me know. But, what I was saying is if you can create a way where we as the hosts can verify guests like Airbnb does outside the Airbnb platform, ooh boy, I would pay for that. I would pay you a good amount if you could figure that out. Okay, so I want to know, I don't need to know, but I want to know that your system, whatever it is, has gone through, you have their passport number, you have their social security number, you have their credit card, you have their license, you have everything on there, and then through your program or your app or whatever, your web application, they then book my listing outside of Airbnb, and I know that they're verified and I can read reviews about them from all their other experiences with other people. Ooh, man, I'd pay you probably $100 a month if I could do something like that. Absolutely. My biggest problem is people not being verified. I have not used the incinerator toilet yet. I wanted to, but you need power, and you also, like I said, you mess up, it's dirty, it's nasty. Alex, are you Alexander, and you just got too lazy to spell out your whole name twice? To get a $10,000 as a goal in cash flows from Land Hack Glamping, how much money should we budget? Dude, wait, $10,000 in cash flows, that's $120 a year? It depends if you own the property or not. Because I was gonna say you can spend $8,000 to put up a safari tent, you put it in the right area, Golden Triangle, you could probably produce between $3,000 to $5,000 average a month. And then if you had 2 of those, you'd be basically very, very close. 3 for sure, you'll hit it. Alexander, I would say for your budget, I'd say a bare minimum in that case, because you need the property, bare minimum $50,000 to $60,000. Anything more, because most of that's gonna be going to a down payment. If you already own property, you own land, like $25,000, $30,000. Yeah. Dan, of course, you're welcome. Oh, you're Thai. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I love the way that Thai writing looks. It looks so cool. It looks like an alien form of cursive. Alex, just want to understand how much money I got to find for the goal of 10K in profits per month net. I'd say 50, but to be safe, double it, get to 100. But I don't know your situation, Alex, because if you own land right now, you can do it for way less. If you don't own land, you don't own property, it's going to cost you a little bit more. Okay, you are Alexander. Okay, all right, Zoom, I'm going to come back to you because I see the chat window blowing up. I'm going over back to YouTube. Wow, YouTube, there's a lot of folks in here right now on YouTube. How many people are in? Gosh, we got over 100. You guys are so awesome. We've been consistently like around 150, 125 viewers in here the last 3 days. I thought it was going to really drop off super fast. You guys are killing it though. Okay, back into YouTube. Okay, thinking about gravel lots for commercial vehicles only because of e-commerce boom. Okay, Brady, what do you use for design and building plans, or all of your sites custom designed and built? All of mine are custom designed and built. I have my own designers and architects that I use, and a lot of stuff that I design myself just from experience or whatnot. Sometimes I'll periodically like jump onto like Freelancer or something like that to hire a designer or something. But yeah, 98% of the time it's me. Of course, you're welcome. You're welcome, Cuban Mangoes. What platform is your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, HipCamp? Brady, Airbnb, hands down. And this is coming from somebody that hated Airbnb. I actually got in an argument several times with the customer service, and I am not the type to get angry or get impolite or rude. They were just so bad when they first started out, even through like 2015, 16, 17. They were so horrible, like dog, right, horrible, that I got an argument with them because they wouldn't release the funds for damage that clearly took place during a guest stay. Man, oh man, they were so bad. And they had this horrible verification situation where I would get so many people showing up at the property that is not the profile of the booking. It'll be like John Smith, and then this 17-year-old girl and her best friend shows up. I'm like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, and I'm like, you're gonna have to sign like a waiver, and like you have to give me your ID and stuff because you're not who booked this place, and I'm not gonna have a bunch of underage people staying in my property. And then they got mad and they gave me a 1-star review because I forced them to do, it's just one. Anyways, Airbnb, long story short, changed all of that, and they have listened to their host, and they now set the standard in customer service, and they set the standard in how they verify their guests. If you've gone through the process, they literally take your social security number, passport, and or your driver's license, and they verify who you are. And their whole 5-star system, again, everything revolves around 5-star system, is phenomenal. So VRBO is trying to catch up. They're like the old generation. They're like the grandma and grandpa trying to figure out TikTok. They're not that great at it. My last claim because of issues was through VRBO, because you gotta remember, VRBO is not like Airbnb. Airbnb is a singular platform. VRBO has literally, I think, like 5, maybe even more, 7 different sites. It goes through VRBO, hotels, Expedia, not HotPads. There's another one, Turnkey, I think. But they advertise it on a bunch of different sites. They do not verify anybody. It's just any random stranger can book your place through VRBO. HipCamp, I don't have enough experience with, so I can't speak to them yet. I will be testing them out very, very soon, and I'll let you know. How much capital would you say is ideal to get going in short-term rental properties? Julian, you can get started with 5,000. You can get started with $1 million. It's me asking you, hey, how much does it cost to buy a house? Right? It's all over the board. Are you in San Francisco? Are you in New York? Or are you in like some podunk town in Nebraska? Like, where are you? It's a huge factor. What do you think about equipment rentals? I own lakefront and border public lands, already on HipCamp, VRBO, and Airbnb, and have canvas tents and standard camping sites. Excellent, Brady. I love equipment rentals. Make sure you have a good waiver form though, and then you have the right insurance liability. Obviously, when you start talking about bikes, kayaks, stand-up paddle boards, you're opening yourself up to a lot of liability issues around water. So just make sure you have the right stuff. But yeah, absolutely, great income stream. Oh, yeah, you wrote that right below. I didn't see that. I would urge you to be very, very careful with quads or UTVs. Speaking from experience, my group of friends are just a bunch of dummies, and they will ride them when they're drinking or after they've drank, and they will flip them because they don't know how to use the gas or the clutch or any of that stuff. And so be very, very careful with quads and UTVs. All it takes is one person to roll it and lose a leg, and you're in a lot of trouble. Even if you're the right liability insurance, it's an ordeal to have to go through something like that. So again, my whole thing is I'd rather just avoid anything like that and only focus on the good stuff. So I don't have any problems with stand-up paddle boards. I don't think, depending where you're at, I don't think that the returns from the equipment rentals would be higher. It possibly could be, but I don't have any real experience in that, so I can't really speak to it. Tanner, would you ever consider setting up a glamping site in Colorado? I would love to do Colorado. Colorado is one of the most difficult areas to set up short-term rentals because they are not short-term rental friendly. There's a lot of regulations there. If you can find an area that has it, then yeah, for sure, do it. All right, any info on a septic tank for a guest house instead of adding a normal sewer connection? Asking because it will likely be cheaper to do the septic route in my scenario. Any info on using a septic system for guest houses? Yeah, do it. It's going to cost you a bit more money, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Whoops, I just lost my spot. How do most P&Z view glamping? What's P&Z? Permits and zoning? Matthew, what is P&Z? View glamping. I'm assuming you said permits and zoning. They see it as a campground or an RV trailer park, but there's a bunch of other stuff that you can set it up as. That's part of the strategy that we talk about in the program. By the way, if you're in here, Laura, were you able to get in? Is there a problem with the sign up? Because nobody's signed up yet. Anyways, do you know of an alternative to AirDNA? There is another one called Air. This is the problem with businesses that make such weird names. It's like a play on aerobatics. So it's like air and batics or something like that. Anyways, I looked at it. It's not super great. AirDNA is probably your best bet, but it's not that great. Do you have any kind of renovation background? CNM? Renovation, you mean in like remodels? Yeah, that's where I got started. And then I started doing construction, like new construction. What do you think of Tentor signature system, buy their tents? And I don't know Tentor very well, so I can't speak to it. I've heard really bad things about. I actually had the opportunity to buy an old Tentor property. I looked at the reviews. Tentor is just a really, I don't know. I'm not gonna say they're a bad company because I haven't interacted with them, but based on the reviews, there's not a lot of good things that are said about them. You should release your building designs you've used in the past for sale. I've had people ask me that. It's just when I design stuff like my container homes, it's like it's my personal design and I want to keep it that way. I've seen what happens to, like, if you guys know Rob at Rob Built, I think there's like over like close to 24 other people copying him in the same area. I'd hate to have that happen with my homes or with my designs. I get it though. Hey, there you are, Laura. Yes, it does include that one-on-one. So I don't think you've gotten it yet. So yeah, you have not. So yeah, that does include the one-on-one. It's the last one. Kai, contact me about HipCamp. I got 10 tykes that booked them through HipCamp than any other platform. Let's talk about it. Cool. That's awesome. I'll have to dig into that some more. 20 years old here. What's up, Bullets? Planning on getting my real estate license and investing in real estate full time. I'm in Fresno, California. How much capital would it take until I could get private investors? How come that question keeps coming up? Is that the same person? Bullet, are you asking that same question over and over again? How much capital? It's so dependent, you guys. It Come on, it's like me asking how much does it cost for you to buy a car? Are you buying a 20-year-old car? Are you buying a brand new Cybertruck? What are you buying? Like, what's the area that you're in, right? So to ask how much it would take, I would say consider taking the down payment into consideration, what your credit score is, all that stuff to see what you could get approved for, and then what the down payment would be, because it could be as low as 3.5% all the way up to literally 50%. So there's a large range there. But you definitely need cash to get in the game for sure. My very broad stroke general rule of thumb is at least $50,000 to get started, but you can get started with a lot less depending on the area that you're in. Brady, I'm permitted through ag tourism. Awesome. Because I'm not zoned for trailer park or campground. Okay, yeah, ag tourism is awesome. They call it agro-tourism where you're at. Brady, what state are you in? Laura, Lala, last spot is still there. You guys, nobody's booking today, huh? Nobody wants to join the program? There's still that group special if anybody wants to join in. All right, I guess I also mean how many properties to prove yourself to private. Oh, private investors go off of results. It's how much money you make and what kind of ROI and the experience you bring to them. So I got started on, let's see. You probably start getting private. Instead of getting private investors, you probably start with partners or angels. Do one really good one, prove yourself, and understand what you're doing, and then you do it. Again, that's the three things, right? Knowledge, skill sets, and experience. And so if you came to me, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to interview you before I give you any money or partner with you. I'm going to interview the crap out of you, right? So these guys, the VCs, the guys and gals with money, they're going to do the same exact thing. Favorite Golden Triangle in Pacific Northwest. I think I heard in one of that you're in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, what's up, Weston? I can't give you all my secrets. You guys are all trying to pinpoint exactly where I'm buying, where I'm looking at. If you understand the Pacific Northwest, you can create several Golden Triangles. Okay, Nevada. Outside of Reno. Okay, excellent. Nice work. Okay, Laura, you got it. You got the last spot. So everybody else, there are no more one-on-ones. But don't worry, there's still the group session. So if anybody wants to jump in and use the group special discount for the program, you can still get in and you can utilize and be a part of a group coaching strategy session at the end of the program. All right, jumping back over to Zoom here. Open up the Q&A. All right, Varun Ram, what's going on? Is there a saturation number for the number of glam sites on a property, assuming you're zoned for a lot and they have proper separation, i.e. do you begin to lose occupancy rates after a certain number, or is this site in a proper Golden Triangle not at risk at all? Great question. Yeah, it's called cannibalism, or you start cannibalizing yourself. And there absolutely 100% is. Don't think that you can just slap on if you have room for it. You can just put on as many as you want. It doesn't work that way. You want to be able to understand the market, and that's why it's always prove the concept and then grow. Prove the concept and grow. Prove the concept and grow. Now, when you go into an area, typically, and we'll get, I know you're part of the program. Make sure you ask this. If I don't touch on this inside the program, make sure you bring this back up, and we'll talk much deeper about it. But we probably will in the market analysis. Is when you start looking at the numbers and the foot traffic or the travel traffic into an area, you'll definitely be able to use that as a gauge of where to start, right? And then so we're not going to go in there and build 10 sites right away. We're probably going to start again. We're going to bring that down, break it off into phases, and then we're going to grow and grow and grow. And as it proves itself out, you can grow bigger and bigger. But there's going to be a certain point with diminishing returns, and you definitely don't want to have more sites than it drops your overall occupancy rate. And there's also something that's, what do you call it? Oh, I forget the term. But there's something there. When you have let's say that you have 100 dome tents. It kind of takes away from the magic if you had only maybe 10 isolated dome tents. You know what I'm saying? One becomes very, very, it becomes not obsolete. It just becomes more of the same, whereas one still is very unique and very special. And so there's a point where you're like, hey, maybe it's better to have 10 dome tents that are basically booked out 80% of the year at $400 than having 100 dome tents. And then you're just at this huge risk at any turn in the market that now you're just kind of you're oversaturated. I think that's the best word. You're oversaturated and you're sitting at a lower occupancy rate at way lower rates, right? You're basically creating a price war against yourself. Tide, that's what that writing is. I have a vintage. Okay, yep, Chris. All right, best solution for off-grid shower. Is it feasible to bring in water on site or collect rainwater? How much does rainwater systems cost to get it to drinking and showering water quality? I don't know. Showering water, I don't think needs to be potable. Maybe it does. I don't think showering needs to. I think you can use rainwater for showering. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, any experts out there. I haven't put together a rainwater system other than collecting it to water plants, and so I wouldn't know how to answer that. Off-grid showers usually bring in a big water tank, and then you can either pressurize it or you do gravity fed, and then that kind of feeds the water for your for everything you want to do. Amani Holmes, what's up? No worries. Glad you can make it. My family owns raw land in unincorporated Texas. Love it. But there is nothing on the land, okay? I'm going to do an A-frame, but I don't have much capital. How much should I shoot for to spend on the overall build? Also, what kind of agreement should I make with my family? It depends. Again, remember there's A-frames as small as a bed, like tiny. It can fit 2 people in it. And then there are A-frames that are 3,000 square feet large. And there's everything in between. So how big of an A-frame are we talking? And are you going to pull in permits? Are you putting permit foundation down? So on the smaller scale, the A-frame, I'm going to be building an A-frame probably here in the next couple of weeks. We're looking at probably $4,000 or $5,000 in materials, maybe plus or minus, depending on what materials, the fluctuations in material cost. But if you're going to build out a full-blown house, you're probably talking about maybe closer to $100,000 to $200,000 in materials and labor. But yeah, it's all over the board. In terms of agreements that you should make with your family, this is going to be a contract agreement, and you're going to have to figure out how to set that up, and then probably set up an LLC and have a couple of those names on that LLC, and then have a rental contract, or not rental contract, sorry, have some sort of contract. I know it sounds funny, but you do want to do a contract even with family. Yeah. I've been a part of many best friends and families being torn apart over money, land, and business. So something to think about. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what your relationship with your family is, but that's what I would say. But determine the size of the A-frame. Also consider buying A-frame kits. Those kits are relatively inexpensive, and if you're brand new to it, it could help you out a lot too. 725. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit of a larger place. Ballpark with labor. Let me see. I'm assuming you're not doing the labor. I'll do the math for you real fast. In unincorporated Texas, labor down there is a little bit cheaper. You're looking at probably like 120,000. 120. I would budget 200,000 for it. All right. Have you used InstaHot systems Yeah, I've used InstaHot. We call it tankless water heaters, right? The propane ones. It's a little box that gets super hot, heats up all your water. Yeah, I've used that before. Okay. Answering the chat window over here. All right, let me go back up here. I've seen multiple sites, places. Sheila says, I have seen multiple places that have the tents right next to each other. It makes my skin crawl. Who would be happy with that? Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. And we have a favorite composting toilet company. Recommendations, Ecotourism Project is off-grid. Yeah, Amy, check out Naturehead. How do you allocate funds for a new project? Rodrigo, you're asking, how do you allocate funds for a new project, land versus building costs and all else? Since land loans have much lower loan to value, do you allocate more cash to fund the new land purchase and take more leverage on the loan to fund everything else without using a HELOC or other alternatives? Rough percentages, waiting on the allocations. Again, it depends on your market, because if you go to Joshua Tree right now, I'm not telling you guys to do this, but Joshua Tree land rates are very inexpensive. It's like, you can buy land for like what, $18,000 to $30,000, $40,000. In the grand scheme of things, that's very cheap for land. To get a builder in Joshua Tree right now, you're gonna be paying bare minimum, $200 a square foot. Okay, probably closer to $250, which is insane because like 4 years ago, $250 a square foot is literally building you like a luxury home. And now it's a standard. And so it's a really weird ratio. But then if you go to somewhere that's more expensive, like where land's a lot more expensive, in the Pacific Northwest, you're buying that same piece of land for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. It's going to be a 1-to-1. Like the building that you're going to put up is probably going to cost about $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 too. So it's depending where your market is, but I'd say the general rule of thumb is if you need to acquire it, whatever is going to require you to buy it or get a hold of it, that's the cash outlay. But if you have another alternative where you can actually leverage somebody else's money, whether it's seller finance, it's the banks, it's hard, don't do hard money. It sounds like you're trying to build something, so don't do hard money. But if you can use somebody else's money, i.e. banks or loans or lenders, do that. Even now, even with cash, I still use my HELOC, or I use other people's money, or I set up the terms in a way where I don't have to use my cash. I want to sit on my cash because I know I need to use it in other aspects to build out my projects. And so, yeah, whenever you can, option number one, always, I shouldn't say always, whenever you can, lean to using other people's money, especially when the interest rates are like 2.5% or 3%. All right. Okay, Sheila. Okay. Mon from Australia. Hi. Mon, were you the one that emailed me last night about signing up for the program? I'm not sure if you actually did or not. I think you were. I'm not sure. Let me know if you still have questions about it though. Okay. Dan, what's going on? Ag tourism is awesome. Yep, I agree. Thanks, Jake. Yep, diminishing returns. RO systems can turn into drink. That's right. Yeah, reverse osmosis systems. And they do, I believe those would require a pressure tank, right? You will need it because you need to push it through the filtration system. So you will actually need a pressure tank. So you can't just have a water tank out there. Okay, would drinking water quality be ideal for showers? Yes. You're welcome. Amy, I don't know. Okay, I think most of these questions are for each other. I love it that you guys are interacting with one another. All right. Okay, the allocation makes sense. Cash is king. Thank you. You're welcome, Rodrigo. Sorry, it takes me a little bit of time to get through it. What's up, Gracie? What do you think about mobile home parks versus glamping? Ooh, you are getting my secret sauce here stuff. Okay, how many of you are in here? There's 100 of you in here right now? Okay. Yes. So glamping, a lot of folks, only the 100 of you in here that are going to get this now, is that most people pursue campgrounds and RV parks, okay? And the whole section of the program, when we start talking about zoning, strategy, and permits, there are several other ways of getting it without the camping designation, okay? Now, you can't do glamping, can't do camping on a mobile home park, but what you can do is you can bring in manufactured or mobile homes. And manufactured or mobile homes falls into the category, typically, check with the zone, because every zone is different, or every county is different, is that you can get modular homes. And so if you can get several of these modular homes onto a site that's zoned for a mobile home park, you've got a pretty cool thing. And not only that, is that you can actually run water, sewage, and just hook them up like normal to each one of those sites. I love that. So yeah, it's a good question. Ask me more about that inside the program, Gracie. What's up, Noah? Okay, that makes sense. Yep, you can use a hose with good water pressure. Mon would love to sign up, but don't have the cash until September, so I can't right now. I did email you. That's right. Okay, Mon, you're on my list. That's right. I'm sorry. I had so many emails. Screenshotting for all the good info. Thanks, everyone. Good. All right. Let's go back over to YouTube. All right, what's going on over on YouTube? Steve, what's going on? Beyond size of the property and numbers of units, is there a square foot range you'd like to go for? Say if you built 4 cabins, for instance, do you do all the same size, or mix them up. It really depends on this on your goal and who you want to cater to. If you want to do small families like a mom, dad, and like a kid or two, which I have friends that seek out places like that, you can absolutely do something a little bit larger. Again, you're gonna have to build it, design it around having kids in there, or potentially 2 couples or a group of 4 friends going in there, which is gonna be very different than a cabin with only 2. So very, very broadly speaking, I like my spaces 600 square feet and less, and I only do couples, 2 people, that's it. Or maybe 2 best friends. I've had mom and daughters, I've had father, sons, but 2 people. That's my thing. So, but I don't think there's anything wrong by doing families because you can charge a higher rate and you can bring in more different types of customers. So yeah, I don't do anything bigger though. Cena, what's going on? What are your thoughts about for buying land with slopes and hills? Good, bad, any workarounds? I love them. Have you guys seen my property on my videos? My area is heavily, heavily sloped. The reason why I like it and I love it is because it scares away most other people. And I tend to specialize in land like this, like my geotech. I know how to work it, and people get scared off because it's an unknown. And what I found is when people are scared of the unknown, and you become an expert or you become very good at the unknowns, is that's where you can build a lot of value and you can generate a lot of money. And so, don't let slopes scare you. There are extra steps to make sure that you can build. Now, if it's just like a cliff, like rock cliff face, and like there's no way to build, yeah, I'm probably not gonna do it. But yeah, most of my area right here, I'm pointing down at my southern hill right here, my southern face. It's a sharp decline, and it's actually a landslide area. I'm actually pulled back about 30 feet, 40 feet away from the landslide area, and this whole area is all geoteched, or had a geotech engineer come in. And the reason why I did it is because for the views. Sloped areas like that usually have awesome views. Now, if it's just a sloped area with no view and no real advantage, I'd say pass it by. But if it's a beautiful view, it might be worth getting a geotech engineer out there and running some numbers for you. All right. Kendra, what's going on, Kendra? What's the furthest away in terms of driving range would you suggest to be for your first glamping property? The closer, the better. Be inside a golden triangle, and the closer you are to it, the better. It allows you to learn. It allows you to manage and kind of put out fires, both figuratively and literally, if anything does pop up. But Kendra, you can do it with it further away as well. It's going to require more money and more time invested into building out the systems to manage it for when things do occur. Also the security system. So just something to keep in mind. All right, Brady, Brady, you're just down with all the questions today, aren't you? Do you prefer having extras like little luxuries such as firewood, bug sprays, s'mores, equipment, camp chairs, or having it all included and charging more? Absolutely. I've done both, Brady. And I said this before, and we'll talk more about this inside the designing and building a 6-figure listing program, the mini program, is under promise, over deliver. And everything that you just listed out, I would just have them as bonuses that's included that you don't even tell them about. Okay. Now if they ask you, like, hey, I know there's a lot of bugs. Do you have bug spray? Just like, yeah, we have bug spray here for you. But typically, I like to tuck those in because they're coming in with a certain expectation. And when they see like, oh my gosh, they have a s'mores kit. Oh my gosh, they have firewood here already for us. Oh my gosh, they have bug spray. Oh, they have slippers. Oh, this is awesome. 5-star review. Even if you slide or you mess something up, the cleaner didn't wipe out the hair in the bathroom perfectly, they'll still give you a 5-star review because you over-delivered on it. And so I always, whenever I can, I try to over-deliver the best I can. And everything that you just listed out are great ways to get 5-star or almost guarantee 5-star reviews. Do you think living on the same property you host glampers? No, not a bad idea at all. I think especially for folks who are beginning and starting out, I think it's the best idea. Obviously, there's more things to think about safety-wise, distance, not being a nuisance to them and them not being a nuisance to you. Those are things that you're going to have to consider. But yeah, no, that's a great thing. Cine694, what are zoning designations that work for glamping, ag tourism, for example, growing cocoa and renting out geodomes on the same property? Yeah. It depends. Ag tourism is going to be different county to county. And so some of them will require you to have animals. Some will require you to grow a certain amount of crops or have barns and structures and certain things up, creating benefit to the community in a certain agricultural way. And so you're going to have to take those into account. It's going to be very much state to state and county to county. So yeah, look into that. Okay. Oh my goodness. It's already quarter past 7. Okay. I got to go get dinner started. I'm going to answer a couple more on Zoom and YouTube. So if you guys have any questions, by the way, everybody that's still in here, the 90 of you that are left, I know some of you have been watching the free webinars. I want you guys to keep on watching it. We got 2 more coming up Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow is Friday. And so if you guys haven't decided yet or you're still on the fence, remember, enrollment ends this Friday. And I'd love to have you guys in there. Remember that there is this awesome community that's backing it up, all these other students that are already part of the program. And on top of that, I'm telling you, I promise you that the rate that it costs for you to enroll, it's worth it by itself, just one part of the program, and that's the market analysis and the running the numbers side of stuff. Everything else is equally as important, but that part in itself, you can only learn in an MBA program or a business program, a very good business program. So with that said, 30-day, no risk, money back, okay? I believe in it so much that you can take 4 weeks of classes and then ask for your money back. Now I'm probably gonna ask you like, hey, what part did I mess up on, or what did you not find valuable, so I can make it better for future students. But other than that, you'll get your money back. But I know that you're gonna get so much from it that you will not ask for your money back. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you will. I don't know. But just to let you guys know, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. Take 4 weeks of classes. If you guys don't like it, doesn't help you, ask for your money back, and I'll do it. Okay. Questions here. All right, where are you at? I always lose my spot when I jump back in the chat window. I almost wish Sarah was here so she can just feed me questions and I can just answer it for you guys. Okay. Slide zones, okay. All right. Oh, you guys are just talking with each other. Okay, that's good. Just keep talking with each other. All right. One more time. Mall Dog, what's going on? Oh, wait, sorry. Chance asked something. Chance, I have an 80-acre ranch just outside of a highly visited vacation area of Broken Bow. Where's that? 20-acre lake and several ponds. Great view. Still working on building roads. Have container house too. Dude, Chance. Don't have sewage or water yet. Okay, those are 2 critical things. But okay, you're working on it. I'm assuming you're going to have to drill a well. Do you have power to the site? Brady, awesome. I'll see you tomorrow. Mall Dog, okay, I'm new here and this guy seems interesting. I'd like to think that I'm interesting. Has anyone tried his YouTube tactics? Yes, because I'm using other people's YouTube tactics. How much do I need to join? The program, I'm thinking you're talking about the program. There's nothing for this week's webinar. This is all free. Are you talking about getting into short-term rentals or the program? The program is $24.47, and if you use the group special coupon code, you'll get an extra week of group coaching at the end of the program, where we go through your strategies and everything. So if you want to go over, I think I put the link is at the top. It's pinned to the top of this chat window that Sheila so nicely taught me how to do, and you can jump in. Okay. Well, I think I addressed most of the questions. Do you think each door needs some kind of electrical lights or some way to charge phones, or do you think the embrace being completely disconnected? It can go either or, Brady. Just make sure that you're super transparent with your guests. Obviously, the more disconnected you are, the lower your the smaller your group or your customer base is. The more amenities you have, especially electrical, like most people can't do anything without this. So that'd be a tough one to like not be able to charge. So that's just one thing to consider. But yeah, you can do both. Have you ever considered, Rodrigo asked, have you ever considered doing container offices? Absolutely. They're much cheaper and typically include 1 to 2 doors and windows. Yeah, I'm actually building. Part of the other side of the container home right now is going to be a small office. So yeah, absolutely. You can get those for relatively cheap. Okay, so Brady does mostly tents or canvas doors. Okay. Is there a no money down scheme? No, you got to pay. It's like enrollment. It's like a course. It's a, sorry, mall dog. So basically it's a 6-week live program with me, and then there's an additional week of a mini program if you were interested in doing Airbnbs and how to set up a 6-figure Airbnb listing, the design and building of it. And then on top of that, you'll get group coaching at the very end with me, where I sit in there with a bunch of other like minds. Basically, a lot of the folks inside the chat window right now are actually students or in the program. And I basically go through, if you go to my website, I'm not going to explain it all right now because these people already heard it 100 times over. But if you go to the website, kaiandrew.com/program, you'll see everything that's inside the program. And it's an upfront $24.47 to secure your seat in the program. And then it's a live event just like this, except it's going to be a smaller cohort of students. Hopefully that answers your question. Container offices for construction sites are common and are sold. They're allowed to be used. Yep. Yeah, ROI is going to be all dependent on the deal that you create. So I obviously can't give you a deal. I mean, I guess I could, but that'd be kind of tough. But anyway, so it's dependent on your deal that you find based off the knowledge and the skills that you build off of the program. And then I help you find those deals, or I help you, through batch leads. You probably didn't watch our Monday video. The Monday webinar, we talked about how to find those types of deals. And I'll give you examples. I'll give you examples of what I'm doing. You get it step by step and see how I'm going through the permitting process, how I'm finding land and putting up putting up structures. But ROI is going to be different from person to person. Okay. One more. You're welcome. You're welcome. I just want to make sure I get everybody here. You guys going to talk about rockets and robots tomorrow? Okay. All right. I think I got everybody, right? Okay. All right, I think I got everybody. Hey, I love you guys so much. Can I tell you guys that? The 90 of you that are still in here, or the 89 of you that are in here, you're really fantastic. And I love being a part of this community and being able to not just teach it to folks, but to interact with folks like this, and then have you guys interact with each other, and then living and breathing, not living, breathing, but kind of like building ideas and questions off of one another. It's super cool. It's just from the content creator side of stuff. This is so amazing. And that I really, truly, deeply believe in what I do. And I want to see more of you out there succeed at this. And so if you can't afford the program right now, I'm not going to push it on you. Okay. I'm not going to push it on you. Watch my free content, watch these free webinars. I'll be doing more of them. Use it, set the direction. And then when you're in a better spot, absolutely come on and be a part of the team. Jump into the mastermind group, the Discord group, and part of the program, and you'll learn way, way more. But at the end of the day, this is really cool. So thank you so much for everybody that keeps coming to these things and learning. And then please, if you're a part of the program or you're not, or you're my client or my student or whatnot, email me. Let me know how things are going for you. And if at all, my free stuff helped you. I just want to know that. If I can improve upon it, I want to be able to do that too. So anyways, I love you guys all. I truly, truly do. You guys make every week amazing. It's a ton of work. I'm not going to lie, but it's totally worth it. I really look forward to these sessions. I think I might start doing these live webinars more often because it's so much fun. But I will see you guys all tomorrow night. I am not international yet. Hopefully soon. I got some students in Costa Rica and in Europe, so hopefully I'll be international through association. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye. See you guys.